In today's video, I'll be showing you the basics of lighting an interview using just a single light. I'll talk about the position of the subject, as well as the light and how it affects the look of the video, and the common in-camera tool we use while working with light and exposure. A powerful concept that took me literally years to grasp is that lighting influences the look of your video more than anything else in your kit. More than your camera, more than your lenses, and more than even your color grade. Obviously, color grading has a huge influence on the overall look of your final video, but lighting plays its role from the very beginning and will become the building block for your final grade. Lighting is a super complex topic, and I plan to give as much knowledge on it as I can here on our channel, so subscribe to catch more of our updated content each week. Stay tuned. So a lot of the time, interview light setups can include multiple lights. We typically have a key light, which is your main light source, a fill light, which fills up the shadows on the subject's other side of their face, and a backlight or hair light, which creates a nice rim around the subject's head and helps to separate them from your location or background. In an ideal circumstance, the background itself is also treated with its own lighting, and I'll show you that maybe in a future video. But for today, we're focusing on a single light setup. So the first thing we do when on location is figure out where our interview subject will be placed and what initial composition will be best for that location. Here, since we're shooting against a curved white cyclorama, we're placing the subject with their back to the corner and in a position that will allow for our key light to properly expose them while allowing room for our cameras to have some angle options. Next, we place our key light. Now, since we're only using one light for this interview, we want it in a position where it will light the subject's face, but since we typically like to have some drama in the shot, I usually find a position that will leave some shadow on one side of the subject's face. And that's the side I like to place our supporting cameras. Generally speaking, when filming an interview, you want to give soft shadows on the subject's face. Shadows will get softer when the light source gets larger, and that can also be achieved by moving the light closer to the face. But for our shot, since we're using a wide shot, we needed the light to be far enough out of the frame, but still provide for soft shadows, hence this big boy. In this shot, I'm using a very large softbox that A, will provide enough of a light source to still be soft from a further distance, and B, will light the entire subject and surrounding scene so that I can have some shadow textures on the floor to meet the look I wanted to achieve. Next, we place the mic and additional cameras in their places. The way we set up our lighting affects where we place the rest of our equipment because, as mentioned earlier, we find it pleasing to include a certain amount of drama or style to most of our interviews. By lighting the side of the face that is farther away from the cameras, it creates some mood or interest on the closer side of the subject's face. For our main shot, you can see it's pretty well lit, but for our second angle, you can see some of that interest or drama I'm talking about. For simplicity's sake, there is an order which you can use to place your equipment to achieve this type of look. After you place your subject in the desired spot, we place our gear in a semicircle around the subject. We place our key light first, then the mic if it's on a boom such as this, then we place our interviewer, next to that our main camera, next to that camera B, and if more than two camera angles, we place each supporting camera following that same semicircle pattern. This allows us to dial in the amount of mood we want each camera to capture after we light the subject for the main shot the way we want it. So here's a tip on how we achieved our desired exposure for this shot. I chose the white cyc wall for this interview because it fit the story that was being told by the subject. However, I didn't want it glaringly white in the background, so we did not light the actual wall like we would normally. This sort of gives the white wall a grayish color, which I use sort of a middle gray type color. I like to use the camera's built-in waveform to tell me the specific IRE of each element in the frame. IRE is a measurement unit used to measure composite video signals or levels from black to white. Oddly enough, its name was originally derived from the initials of the Institute of Radio Engineers. Middle gray is approximately halfway between pure black or 0 IRE and pure white or 100 IRE. So we put the background exposure at around 50 IRE. For our subject, a ballpark range for proper exposure of lighter skin is approximately 60 to 65 IRE, So we dialed in our key light until her skin reached close to 60 on the waveform. There are many different ways you can use to achieve good exposure, and this is just one of them. And as you get more experience and learn to employ simple rules, you can start breaking those rules and create entirely different exposures or look designs depending on the mood you want to nail with your video. So that pretty much sums up this quick video. What do you think? What tips do you have for single light setups? Post a comment below or links to some of your single light interviews and I'll watch them. Let me know your thoughts and I'll respond to each and every one. Peace for now, and I'll catch you on the next one.